Hi all, Paradise Continued. So you've probably noticed in my last video that I was talking a bit about what I believe needs to happen in order to have heaven on earth or paradise, and what things should be avoided and that sort of thing. So I will do that from time to time to better illustrate what my idea of paradise or heaven on earth is. But for the purpose of this video, I want to get more into, kind of even though it'll always be an evolving, ascending thing. So that's an important part of it too, to keep in mind, is that when a lot of people have talked about paradise, they talk about it like it's a static, end result or never changing thing. And, there may be a realm somewhere, a dimension. It has been talked about in some books, and mystics have talked about it in the past, that there are these, like, for instance, the celestial sphere or dimension where we originally came from, as close to God as possible. That's an eternal place, like it's a never changing, and I'm sure that's true, that such a place exists, that our origin is. But in most cases, with that one exception, we're talking about an evolving paradise. Really, it's not static. It's always in flux, and everybody, in order to uphold paradise, is not only aware of that, they agree to it, they are in favor of it, they understand the importance of it, to keep evolving our truth. And so we get to higher and higher truths, right? In a sense, to say that things become more true or more real. It's kind of like as you go up in frequency and dimension, you get to more and more realness, for lack of a better word. I had some lucid dreams in the past, years ago, where I if you know what a lucid dream is, it's you're aware that you're dreaming while you're dreaming. And I had some lucid dreams where I would do these experiments to see, by touching walls and just feeling into things more, to see, does that feel solid or real? And I found that when I did that, they felt even more real than in our waking physical reality. So I would tend to agree from experience that as we go up into higher states, let's say, of frequency or consciousness, that everything becomes more real. So this would be my idea of paradise, is that it feels so much more real. Not only is it going to be paradise and beautiful and profound and joyful and fun beyond even our imaginings, but at the same time it'll feel more real. And what is feeling more real anyways? Like, it's probably something to do with being closer to the reality of our soul, of what our soul really, the truth of it is, what it really is. So being more in line with our soul being and purpose, makes something in turn feel more real. So we could kind of use that as a gauge. The more phony things feel and artificial, let's say, the less soulful they are. So my paradise will be very soulful. Now let's get into kind of the infrastructure and maybe more like physical reality of my paradise. And it's going to look a lot different than, let's say, technologically speaking, it's going to look a lot different than what we are experiencing right now. There's going to be technologies that we wouldn't currently recognize as technologies, but those technologies only exist as a reminder of what we already have, what we're capable in ourselves, in our bodies. As I said, being multidimensional means we actually have different bodies connected to this body, this physical body that we have, but we also have bodies in higher planes of reality that are more eternal and, indestructible, immortal, however you want to look at it. But so in the paradise that I imagine, our bodies are pretty much immortal and indestructible, and sort of the sky is the limit, or not even the limit. Not even the sky is the limit as far as what we can do with our bodies, what we're capable of. And it has a lot to do with our limiting beliefs, wherever we sort of set the bar or the limit boundary of our beliefs. And then in this paradise, we'll just keep expanding that boundary over and over again. Okay, we reached this boundary, now it's time to expand that one even further, and so on and so forth. So there'll be a continual expansion of boundaries when there's an agreed upon consensus to expand them. But in the meantime, we'll have like I said, I would say at least some technologies that may not even be perceived as technologies. Like, it doesn't look like a machine or anything, a piece of equipment, but it might look like a rock, or a big crystal or whatever. And they act kind of like permission slips in order to enable our more divine abilities and qualities, like, say, for teleportation, or we could go from having a little booth, or like something from Doctor Who or whatever, telephone booth that you step into, and then you step out of it into another galaxy or planet or whatever. So we may have those kinds of technologies for a while, and then we come into the understanding that, actually we don't need that. We can just skip that telephone booth and just do it with the power of our soul, using the energy of source and what have you, which is limitless, eternal, all infinite power, everything. So because we understand that source is infinitely powerful and that we are tapped into source now, then why do we need to just say, oh, well, this is the be all end all right here? We just keep pushing that further and further. But any responsible, sensible, agreement oriented way. And so there's going to be what we would consider right now to be extremely advanced technology, but that is in harmony with nature, not competing or at war with nature, not trying to mess with nature or say that we can do better than God with nature. It'll be recognizing that God is an infinitely wise and powerful being, so God's already constructed the most beautiful and pure and powerful technologies, for lack of a better term, or instruments that are in existence. So we just come into greater and greater understanding of how to flow in harmony with nature and sort of ride the wave, so to speak, like utilizing that limitless energy that's all around us all the time, what we might call free energy, but utilizing it, harnessing it in a non-destructive, competitive, harmful to nature way. So there will be no, pollutants and toxic chemicals and all kinds of things in paradise. It's going to be all natural, organic stuff. And when I say organic, I mean, again, there'll be technologies that may look weird and they are indeed technologies, but they'll be organic, like something that was not artificially put together. It was more like it was understood and then harnessed and is like honored and to be as it is and not abused. So there's going to be the ability, like travel won't be to anywhere won't be a problem in this paradise. And also they're like, if you want to, maybe some people will be flying around, they'll know how to fly with just using their bodies, they'll understand how to do that. But then there may be people using certain craft that we might call like flying saucers or flying spheres, or some might even call them UFOs, but they won't be UFOs because they'll be identified. So there'll be, depending on people's level of consciousness, is going to be close, but they might still prefer to like ride in some kind of a ship place to place, or to travel around the globe, or even to other planets that way. But I would think a lot of people would just simply prefer to teleport because it's the most efficient, easiest way to do it, and you start from here and you just reappear at point B. When it comes to food production and all those things, I would think my vision of paradise is that we don't really need to eat to live. We'll just keep living indefinitely until we freely choose not to anymore, like to start over in a new body or whatever. So death will be more by choice, and it won't even be perceived as death anymore. It won't be perceived as something to fear or an ending anymore. It'll be just seen for what it really is, as a transition into a new adventure, a different world. And so if food is eaten at all, it'll be just purely for enjoyment, and maybe eating some fruit or certain vegetables once in a while, or then again we can easily, in a natural, here's another thing I want to say before I continue with that thought, because of what I'm about to say. is, people have talked about food printers and this and that, and they're like, I don't know about ever eating that because that's like AI stuff. Well, what is AI? AI is like anything else. It's just a tool. Artificial intelligence is what I mean. So it's going to behave according to its programmers' programming. So just like a dog is going to be vicious and, violent with people if its owner and trainer is violent, the same thing with AI. If we program it to be a certain way, then that's the way it'll behave. So anyways, when people are thinking, oh, if we use, say, a food printer, people, if you don't know what I'm talking about, a food printer, you've probably heard of a 3D printer by now. But there are whistleblowers in, say, the secret space program, or that claim to have been in the secret space program, that say they had food printers there, and it'll just print out whatever kind of food you want to eat at a given time. It'll actually pull it like right out of the ether from from nowhere, almost. It is coming from somewhere, but not from this physical reality. It's just like the AI knows exactly what needs to be in the food, and so, but it's, like I said, a benevolent, positive kind of AI. So I don't know whether if we would need anything like that. Perhaps not. Again, it just depends on people's preferences and beliefs. But say we could just manifest something instantly, like, oh, I desire to eat a cheeseburger, but at the same time, a cheeseburger that it tastes totally like my idea of what a cheeseburger tastes like, but is yet completely harmless, and there was no animals harmed in the process of manifesting it, and so it just forms there in front of me, and I eat the cheeseburger and I enjoy that, and I've got a big smile on my face because I was kind of craving the taste of the cheeseburger, but I didn't need to eat something like that anymore because my body doesn't need it, and so forth. So, but it could be anything like that, it could be whatever, piece of fruit or a certain kind of meal, a dish, whatever, and we'll just manifest that and then eat it and know that we don't really need that to live, but we're just doing it purely for our enjoyment. So that'll also be part of this paradise I'm talking about, is instantly manifesting things that we want. And by the way, that's what people, like I mentioned, Ismail Perez talks about in, I believe it is the fifth dimension and up, is that all beings there can just manifest whatever it is they want instantly. And again, right away, a bunch of people listening to this video, or some of you, might think, oh, wow, that's wonderful. Like, people might just manifest like the craziest things that are going to be a problem for others. And no, they won't, because the thing that keeps the whole dimension and reality together is a certain level of consciousness. So in order to even exist in that level of consciousness, you have to maintain that vibration and type of consciousness for everything to work. So as soon as you had a thought of manifesting something that was going to be a harmful substance or problem for other people, infringing on other people's freedom, then you drop into a lower dimension, and you wouldn't be able to go back until you restored that level of consciousness again and stabilized it. So that's what is in this paradise that I'm talking about. It's a stable level of consciousness, and um, that's only going up if it goes anywhere. It's only gonna, in order to keep maintain, and again, it'll work the same way though. Like, I shouldn't say it's only going up. I mean, it could go either way, but it'll tend to go up from there, because once we reach a level of consciousness that's where instant manifestation is possible, then we will only desire to move up from there, in my opinion. And if we had to, let's say, drop into another dimension, a lower dimension for a while, we will know the appropriate way to prepare ourselves for that, so that we don't get maybe stuck there again, so that we're able to come back to the higher dimension. So we kind of, we didn't just drop there by accident. There's going to be, like I said, wonders of wonders all around us in this paradise. I mean, it's going to be a pristine, pure, perfectly clean, natural environment. Nature is going to be thriving optimally. And we will also have, I would say, some buildings, and but much, much more beautiful beyond our imaginings. Things that we haven't even thought of yet, that we could create as building structures. And they will be there, again, kind of in what's that, the Japanese idea of how they create. It's kind of like feng shui, but outdoors. Anyway, I forget the name of it, but kind of like a Japanese garden style, where everything's in flowing in harmony with nature, in sync with nature, if you will. And so we'll have buildings like that have such an aesthetic beauty, profound beauty to them. They're very pleasing. They're always, always, always pleasing to the eye, and they also fuel our creativity and imagination just by looking at them. But we will have that on the planet, but mostly it'll be just nature in its purest, untouched form, and maybe we'll be living more like in cities in the sky, or like in some very large craft orbiting the Earth, but we're allowing nature to be as untouched and preserved as possible, so we can all enjoy it in the optimal way. So nature be revered, respected, honored, and we will be stewarding nature as we were originally intended to be, in my opinion, stewards for nature. And all will be provided for in this paradise. You'll never feel a lack. You won't even believe in lack. That won't even enter into your mindset anymore. So there'll be infinite abundance. And again, the main sort of controlling mechanism for all of it will be your level of consciousness, how much your consciousness has expanded, and then that'll determine sort of what you do from day to day. And but you're not going to be holding anybody else back, or pushing anybody into anything. You're just going to be free to do whatever it is that you desire the most at that moment. And like I said, it'll be an evolving thing. So you could say for a time or for whatever, it, time is going to be different. Your experience of time is going to be different as well. So it'll seem, I don't know, like everything is changing. Time maybe is either a lot faster or slower or whatever, or just seems different, so that or you're at least experiencing time in a much different way. So it feels there's this sense of timelessness there in this paradise, like time has stood still. And then let's say you have another vision or desire to create something, and then you manifest that, and now it's like, oh, I'm living in a different sort of reality, but still in that same energy and frequency that I mentioned. So whatever it is, but it's like it's a heaven where it's expressions of the divine in a much more let's say evolved or advanced understanding and way. And so there's everything will be seen as beautiful, and I'm not trying to discriminate and tell you what beauty is, because I understand it's subjective and in the eye of the beholder, but so it's not going to be impinging on that either, because that's part of the freedom and free will that I'm talking about. But I'm just saying, in a general sense, there'll be an appreciation for beauty in all its forms, and things will be intended from that place, and in this paradise there's going to be, just fun like we've never had it. Like, that's the first priority, or at least one of the highest priorities of every day, is to be having fun. And again, that's different things for different people, but everybody will be having whatever it is that's fun to them, following the golden rule, while following the golden rule. And so fun, play, creativity will rule the day. And so, like, in an evolving paradise, it's going to be what might seem, I don't know, like years and years of doing the same sort of thing. If it takes that long for somebody to not lose their sense of enjoyment, or for that to be their highest joy at that moment, that, and so if something is like expressing your highest joy in the moment, then you keep doing that, and then all of a sudden you'll find, you have a vision of, I could be doing this as well, and then something different, and that could be all of a sudden be your highest joy. So then you pursue that, or bring that into manifestation, and just keep following your bliss. So if you're going to follow anything, you'll be following your bliss. You don't follow other people's dictates or beliefs or whatever. You're following your own beliefs and your sense of your highest joy, and then that's what will be the determining factor of, you know, changing from one thing to the next. And so that's how it'll just play out for everybody. And again, like I said, it might be like a long time before you get really tired of one thing. And it's not even really getting tired of something. You'll just grow as a being, and then when you've grown enough, you'll decide, oh, this over here is more in line with my highest joy than this is. So you'll just set that aside in gratitude, whatever it was, and then go to the next thing in gratitude, and then explore that for however long it may feel or be, and on you go. So very much, again, to kind of emphasize or illustrate what my idea of paradise is, it'd be very much different than what we've been experiencing for at least my lifetime and many others, where it's more about, you know, got to go do the 9-to-5 job, get up in the morning and earn a living. Well, in my idea of paradise, there'll be no more earning a living. You don't have to earn any, you know, your life. Your life is something that's God-given, and everybody recognizes that. And so we live according to that truth and fact of the matter, that it's the divine God that gave us our life, and it's never has to be earned. And by the way, one last thing for this video is that, okay, well, people will say, but if everybody's just doing whatever they want to do, then how do we get certain jobs and things done? Well, first of all, in this paradise, there'll be a lot of jobs eliminated that just are obsolete. We don't need to do them anymore, because we won't have a need for them or a desire. The demand will be gone. But for the things that remain that we do desire, again, if everybody is kind of instantly manifesting stuff, then that eliminates a whole bunch of, you know, the need for stores and that are gone, so there won't be any more stores and anything like that anymore. Unless we want something like that. Say we want like a little mercantile store or general store that would be really cute and have all these